Good fucking time zone, gamers. Welcome to a Toonkind at 12 FPS. My name is RJ. I'm playing a character that hasn't actually been on screen in probably literally years, because that's just kind of how it be. Um,
I think the last time Phasmus was on screen was in that moon game.
I mean, going by its draft points, it was the Feathers of Astralis, so
Yeah,
yes, I think that
moon
was the
game.
Moon Game. So, and that was at least a year ago. So that's how long it's been since I played this character.
Did moon game ever get posted?
I don't know. I know there's a follow up that's not happened yet, but anyway.
Yeah, we were supposed to go to the
Um,
sun after we went to the moon.
true, real. But we are off topic. So,
Yes.
yeah, I'm playing Phasmus Vale, our beloved teeny tiny pocket ghost, uh, blood hunter. Yeah.
Ghost so small you
And
can stick it in your pocket.
joining me, after breaking a boy and getting us to put him back together, is my dear friend.
Hi, aforementioned dear friend here. My name is Gail. Everybody has been very kind in indulging me in uh, fixing my boy. He sure did break, and we did an off-screen thing that was supposed to be an entire game, but then I realized that DMing for like 9 people with like 11
Mhm.
characters between them is hard.
Yeah. I would like to issue a formal apology to Hex. Anyway.
Yeah, Hex, I don't know how you do it. This is hard, and I didn't want to do it. So we did it in a different way. And now we're here. If I had a nickel for
Yeah,
every
World took us to
time,
build a boy.
build a
Yeah,
boy.
fucking build a boy. That is what we did. We went to
Build a
build a boy.
bird. We went to build a bird. If I had a nickel for every time that I had major character events happen for Memoir off screen, in a text-based format that took way longer than I expected I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?
Any hoosers. Yeah, so Memoir got a little bit broketed, but it's fine because we fixed it at him. Um, and now he's in the woods. And there is a ghost rapidly approaching his location. Um,
Yeah, speaking of which, do you think you could give us like a little bit of a description of Phasmus waking up from that nonsense that just happened?
okay, so the first thing that you have to know is that Halloween Town, like, yes, it has day-night cycles because it is on a planet that has day-night cycles, but Halloween Town kind of actually lives up to the nickname that New York somewhat unjustifiably has as the city that never sleeps, because literally any given time of any given day there will be someone around, because you have nocturnal races, you have crepuscular races, you have diurnal races. It's all a mishmash of everything. But Halloween Town after dark is when the city tends to come alive because a lot of the races that are in the town are, in fact, nocturnal. Um, Phasmus's sleep schedule can best be described as not really because it doesn't need to, being a ghost and everything. Yeah, but so it's a little bit concerning when at sunset it suddenly just stiffens and then collapses out of nowhere. Its mom and its yaya were very concerned. Um, but it is now sunrise. The ghost is now awake, and it tore off out of the cafe without so much as a word of explanation. Remembering only at the very last second to actually pick up its sword before it went. So yeah, now we have a ghost fucking sprinting through Halloween Town into the woods, chasing one bird boy. It's a bit disheveled.
Sorry about the impromptu nap.
Mhm. Yeah. Would you like me to roll anything to find the bird boy, or are we just doing this entirely off of vibes and hey, where are you in Echo?
um, there's gonna be a question to answer that. Uh, we know Phasmus has been to the barn before. How often does Phasmus visit the barn?
Pretty regularly. I mean, that's where its friend tends to hang out.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Mhm.
it would probably go there pretty regularly.
Okay, then I think it can probably guess, given the way things ended in Slay the Memory, it can probably guess that Memoir is either at the barn or still at the well, and the well is is at the way on the way to the barn. Um, so it can probably guess that, okay, if I want to find a bird, I should go towards barn, possibly stop at well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, given Man, I don't know. This is something I have to check with you actually. The little prologue bit that you wrote, did that at all get shared during the many times that you died while trying to get past and or deal with Strex?
Did what get shared?
The fucking, if I can get words in my brain to come out of my mouth, that would be so fucking fantastic. Um the You know how you wrote like a little prologue bit to that whole shenanigan where
Oh, the
Memoir
Bonkus
actually
Conkus.
the Bonkus Conkus, yes. Did any of that come through the many times that you died trying to get past and or deal with Strex? Do we think?
Um, so I think how it would have worked is that specific moment never came fully through.
Mhm.
Because Strex was made of something very specific, which is basically this notion of, for as long as I've existed, things have been trying to kill me or hurt me. Why me? What the hell did I do wrong? Um,
Yeah.
and that moment wasn't really so much that feeling as it was just overwhelming buildup of pressure that leads to a, like, basically if you overfill a water balloon.
Hmm. Mhm, mhm.
So that moment was ironically more a moment of relief than it was one of anger. Because at the very least the pressure was finally released. Um, which is not good, but I think there might have been a notion that got across not just in the fight with Strax, but in any time that you died during the events of Slay the Memory.
Yeah.
Um, there would have been whenever you died, there would have been a sharp pain in the side of your head slash face. Basically,
Mhm.
spreading from like, God, which side did I fucking put it on?
The right, I think.
Yeah. Spreading from like right eye up, sideways, and back. Uh,
Mm.
Sharp pain that feels like something's cracking. Uh, and um that's how it felt when you died. So you can assume something happened. That is a consistent pattern. And patterns usually have
Mhm. Mhm.
meanings.
Yeah. Uh, well, Phasmus is concerned, it knows that there is a history of tomfuckery has occurred more often than not. Medical assistance has been required, so it's running under the assumption that there is at least something of an injury to deal with.
Yeah. Looks at the other times tomfuckery has occurred. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Not
yeah.
an out of place assumption. I will admit that.
Hmm.
Um I will have you roll dexterity if you are running through the woods though.
Is this to avoid tripping?
Tripping, smacking your face on things, etc., etc.
Okay. Um. I'm gonna be so real. Because Phasmus is a ghost, it can just go incorporeal, and it flies rather than walks, so there's a non-zero chance It's just fucking moving in a straight line through everything
It's
to
just
get to
fucking
where it's going.
mewing.
It's just Numing, incorporeal, in a straight line. The benefits of not having to obey the laws of the physical realm.
Okay, then I'm gonna roll something to see whether or not you come through a tree. 4, you don't.
I mean, it would be funny.
True. The dice said no, but the funny says yes. Hmm.
hmm
Decisions, decisions. I think you do wind up just like there's a massive tree in your path. You come through it and then you are at the well. You stumble out from inside a tree.
Yeah. At the well, stepping out from a tree.
Mhm.
Is there a friend and a boy?
There is in fact a friend and a boy. He's not facing your direction. He is kind of sitting on the edge. Actually, you know what? Roll me perception.
Sure. Uh,
You are in a new location.
do-do-do-do.
Roll perception. That is how we play this game.
Heckin' yeah. I'm assuming this is not anything that would be relevant to um fucking not the shit that I'm looking for. What the fuck is it? What the fuck is the feature? Hunter's Bane. Yeah, I'm well it doesn't even apply to never mind. What's that? That is 15 plus what's your fucking save? What's your fucking skills now? Perception, perception, perception. Plus one. That is a 16.
16. Okay. So it's early morning. And something that I have established about the woods is that despite the kind of, constant gothic gloom that hangs over Halloween Town, once you get this far into the woods, you do start getting sort of warm golds and sepia tones, uh, due to other influences in the area. Um, and so, with the sun coming up, there is sort of a warm golden cast to the entire scene around you, um, that makes for, long shadows, but an overall warm tone to the scene.
Yeah.
Um, there is, uh, there is a distinct smell in the air of, how did I describe it? Ink and ozone,
Mm.
um, as well as the smell of uh, basically like right after a rainstorm, petrichor. That's what it's called.
Yes.
Um, and seated kind of on the edge of the well, exactly where he was at the end of Slay the Memory before he sent you all back into the waking world. Um, Sitting with his back turned to you, uh, is a memoir. And there is something different that you would notice. There are no longer eye spots on his wings.
Mhm. Mhm.
Instead, there is a golden edge to the black feathers. Um, but he does not seem to have noticed you.
Mhm. How do I describe what the feeling is here? It's it's the stopping short of like just as your toes hit the edge of a precipice. I think is the best way to describe it in how Phasmus stops here. Um, Phasmus has a belief in the divine, but not in terms of gods and monsters, but as a result of the meeting point between chaos and consciousness. And there is nothing that embodies that more in Phasmus' life than Memoir. And in this moment, Memoir's looking pretty damn divine. So I think rather than say anything and break the silence, uh it reaches out with the piece of glass that it came to uh embedded in its chest. Um
Oh, that's where you put it. Okay.
yeah,
Okay, that's fun.
because ghosts have cores. It's the closest thing that Phasmus has to a body. So, glass in its chest. So it just raises a hand to the glass and reaches out that way. Just the faintest, like, it's like the first touch of frost at the very start of winter. That crisp, cool feeling in the autumn air.
Hmm. And
Inquisitive, gentle, careful.
essentially an echo tap on the shoulder. And
Hmm.
it does it does get Memoir's attention, and the response is kind of hazy. It's very, very similar, honestly, to how, Phasmus's question, essentially, or, attempt to get his attention was more subdued and quiet. This is far less, specific and sharp than Memoir's usual echoes. It's almost dreamlike in that there is a sensation of um like early morning sun rays coming through a window, and um the faint mist that gets left in the air over a city street after a night full of rain once morning comes. Um and he where he is sitting at the well, he doesn't get up, but he does set a hand on the stones beside him and kind of turn around and look in Phasmus's direction.
It it is looking back. Um, odds you remembered, evens you didn't. That is a 4. It's not wearing its sunglasses. It forgot to pick them up in its rush out. So there's no golden glass barrier to hide the glowing blue of its eyes. As it looks, and it is uh yeah, there's a lot of emotion in those eyes. Um, but yeah. You know what? Actually, roll an insight. Fuck
Sure,
it, we'll do it this way. Roll an insight.
sure. I'm good at that now.
Nice.
Or at the very least, I'm comparable to the rest of you, idiot.
Comparable to the rest of you idiots. I'm fucking sitting over here with a goddamn +5.
Looks at the other characters you play.
We're not talking about them. So it's 21. There's a yeah, well, like I said, there's a lot of emotions in there. There is concern, there is not a small amount of panic, but not a major amount either. The usual anxiety, uh, but it's mostly relief. Because you're still here. You're not. a puddle of ink collapsed at the bottom of the well. Um, it still doesn't talk, but through the echo glass, which refracts so nicely the sunlight, um, throwing little rainbows everywhere. Um, there's a sort of questioning intent, not words so much as a general sort of query of pressure cold reaching out. Wordless, can I touch you?
Hmm.
You okay? Can I see?
Man. And Memoir, honestly, with anybody else besides maybe one other person, Memoir would probably hesitate. But here, the welcome is almost instant. Like, it's almost implicit. Just, yeah, of course, always.
Cool. Okay. You're getting hugged. Do not resist.
And that gets your first. That gets the first word out of Memoir's mouth, which is just, oh, uh, hey. Phasmus, you are getting hugged back.
How much does memoir weigh?
Uh, Not a lot, especially not right now.
Good, because it rolled a 6 on the athletics to just pick you up. It is going. There is an attempt being made to pick up the friend and a boy and just start carrying it back down.
I'm gonna say that that's doable, even with a 6, given gestures at the actual circumstances that
Mm-hmm.
led to all this. Uh, Memoir does just like surprised squawk. Just what? Okay, I guess we're doing this now. Hi, hi.
Hi. Uh, uh, um. Uh. Uh. It takes its time again because the words just aren't wording. And reaches out over Echo. And it's sort of a general like fond exasperated. Every time some bullshit happens, someone ends up being hurt. You're getting looked at, bird boy. Do not resist.
Memoir laughs at that, and it rings through echo as just jingling brass bells and the crackle of the phonograph right before the record starts playing. Uh he kind of knocks his head against Phasmus's shoulder and is just like, "Yeah, okay, that's fair." Sorry if I had any control over it. It wouldn't happen as often.
The vibe pushed forward, is can only be best described as this is Einquell. How much control can you have?
Again, just laughter and agreement and just, yeah, no, but a guy can dream, right?
That does get a little laugh from the ghost. Um, there's a like a fragment of memory. The stain on the inkwell. And an eye without any detail. All wrapped up in sort of a "you okay?"
Well, it didn't kill me. You guys made sure of that. Looks like I owe you one again.
In lieu of having a hand free to bonk you, it bonks you with its head instead.
Ah, hey! been bonked my head enough already, thanks.
It doesn't have eyes with which to roll, but you get the vibe. There's a page completely covered in tally marks as to be completely uncountable. And then the sense of just throwing the paper away. We don't owe each other anything. There's too much between us to count anymore.
Memoir just kind of nods at that and says, "Yeah, okay, fair." I would argue, but argument brain is not here right now. Can exhaustion take a message?
It does snicker at that. And then there's a pause as it tries to gather the sort of feelings that it needs for this particular query because words have fled it at this point. It's given up on trying to chase them.
Mm-hmm.
Um there is a recollection of all of the items that you picked up in the trip through the Shattered Constant and just a quiet query.
Memoir kind of hesitates, um, and then puts there's kind of this notion through Echo of I can show you, but we need to stop for a minute.
It does so.
Um, and Memoir sets a hand against his chest and shuts his eyes, or rather, shuts one eye. The other tries to close, but doesn't close all the way. Um, but the light in it does dim a bit. Um, and then there's kind of a flickering glow, almost like a pulse, under Memoir's hand. Uh, and he um pulls his hand away and kind of hovering over the palm of his hand is a glowing golden shape, kind of like an inverted teardrop. Uh
Hmm.
but given context, you can recognize it as half of a heart.
Mm. Hmm. Okay.
Um and when Memoir speaks in Echo, the best way to describe it is that it's louder with this out in the open. Um,
Hmm.
but there is this notion of a memory of gathering up pieces of broken glass, old pieces of glassware and bottles and sculptures that have been shattered and can't fully be salvaged. Searching out the pieces that fit each other in that maybe they have the right kind of glass or the right kind of texture or the right kind of color that they're going to blend
Hmm.
well together. Um,
Hmm.
and then putting them into a kiln to be melted down and cast into something new.
Hmm. I think Phasmus pushes forward um a memory of its own um of being small and soft one day and then having a realization and the clay that it is made from changing shape into something a little bit bigger, a little bit tougher, sharper. The general vibe of a redesign that it pushes forward with a query.
Um, and that gets it gets affirmation, agreement, and then kind of clarification in memory of slow slow and incremental change caused by the image that gets used is rust corroding at a piece of metal
Hmm.
um until the metal is nearly gone, um at which point it gets crushed down into a powder and then mixed into a new alloy. Basically, yes, redesign, but different kind of redesign than I've done before.
Hmm. Okay.
Because Memoir has had redesigns throughout the course of his life, going from, the person you met the night before turnabout jump scare, um, to the person he was before Slay the Memory. But those were all slow, incremental change as a result of lived experience. Um, the redesign equivalent of, erosion.
Hmm.
Whereas this was kind of what you tend to think of more when you think overall redesign, of just very similar to that notion Phasmus shared of starting as something else and then having a moment of inspiration in a sense and becoming who you are.
Hmm. Okay. How does it respond to this? I think there's the memory of that memory of pain lancing up from the right eye and back, and then teeth, many, many teeth, and a big grin, uh, and hands reaching out, and then a sort of sensation of something running away from the inside, all bundled up in a query.
Um, hmm. So Memoir kind of winces, and there's the sensation that you get in return is apology and regret and not shame, but resignation. Very much, I didn't want you to see that.
Hmm.
Um, and I am sorry that you had to experience that because I tried so hard to keep it away from everybody. Um, to clarify, is Phasmus asking what Strex was or whether it's gone?
A little bit of both, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. After the initial apology, then there's kind of a moment of hesitation. Um, and then Memoir kind of presses his hand against his chest again to put his heart back where it belongs. Um, and then a there is a notion of a couple of different memories. Some of which in that interaction with Strex, you've seen before, but you see them now from a different perspective. From Strex, these memories were all sources of pain and anger and misery. Here they are recontextualized as shaping forces and inherent character traits. So there is
Mhm.
the memory of the first time that Memoir ever really knew what it was to hate someone. A memory of kneeling in the records room of the Alejo and Co. law offices, looking over the records of cases far before his time and recognizing a pattern, recognizing a presence, realizing just why this one person got under his skin so bad, and realizing that he hadn't been able to stop her from acting again. That no one had been able to stop her from acting again.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that anger and anguish and distress was where it ended for Strex. But for Memoir, the anger is there, but it's treated more as a fueling fire. It is, this is the heat around which I melt the broken pieces of myself together when I am at my most terrified.
Mhm.
Uh, in essence, what he's trying to explain is the things that made Strex are not fully gone, but that's because you can't take them out of me and
Mhm.
still have me be myself. And I don't necessarily like that because part of what Strex contained was my anger and my vengeful side and my capacity for cruelty. But those things all exist as a result of my lived experiences, and those things are all things I can control. They do not control me. You helped by getting rid of Strex. I think the way that this part is manifested is there's a hazy memory of what it felt like for Strex to die,
Mhm.
which is a similar sensation to that release of pressure that came with, the incident that started Slay the Memory, where Strex was something. Memoir burns always. Memoir
Yeah.
is heat and light and solar energy, and Memoir burns. But there is a difference between a steady burn and a raging wildfire. There's a difference
Yeah.
between there's a difference between the sun and a nuclear explosion. Um, maybe not scientifically, but you know what I mean. Um, and basically when Strex died, it was a lance of cold that went through that out of control heat and fire and pain and anger and withdrew the core of it, the capacity for anger, the capacity for vengeance, the capacity for that protective rage, the capacity for cruelty that is there and that cannot be extricated from who Memoir is. But it becomes one aspect of many rather than a guiding, leading voice.
Mhm.
It becomes something that can be treated as an impulse rather than something that has to be directly fought.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Um, there is an overall kind of apologetic tone to all of it of just basically, I know that thing was terrifying. It scares me. I'm sorry that it can't be gotten rid of,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
but it's not going to be, it's no longer a threat. Or at the very least, it's no longer a threat unless I make it one.
I think there's a little bit of a pause as Phasmus searches for the right sensations and memories. And then there is. How the fuck do I describe this? The sensation that is pushed forward is kind of jumbled. It's a rippling feeling of magic that washes over and through you and dissipates, not because the intent was harmless. Um, it's rage filled and vengeful, and it feels bad, but it does nothing because the thing that you are is completely immune. It does nothing because the thing that you are is the embodiment of that feeling. Um, because the thing that you are matches the thing that that is, the intent behind that magic deep down. Um, and because of that, it's like equal and opposite wave fronts colliding and canceling out.
Mm-hmm.
And it is that moment crystallized in ice, and it is the the drip of that ice melting just a little bit, um, until the conscious effort is made to hold that piece of ice and freeze it again. Um, and underneath all of that is the message of we are all capable of great and terrible things, but it is what we choose that determines who we are. And underneath all of that is trust. If Memoir says it's no longer a threat, then it's no longer a threat.
God, there is, in response, there is just a little bit of an outpouring of, oh, thank the gods. Like, absolute relief and just a release of tension of just, he was scared that it would look at him differently. And the last thing Memoir ever wanted was for the people he loves to be afraid of him.
It it puts forward the image of has 5 fingers, right? Four and a thumb.
Looking at the reference image in his character sheet.
I suddenly don't remember.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. There's the image of a 5 fingered hand and the image of a 3 fingered claw, and these things intertwining. And it's kind of an awkward fit because, that's not meant to fit together like that, but they're making it work.
Hmm.
It's pushed forward in a sort of like the kind of way that you gently bonk someone on the head with like an empty fucking kitchen towel roll. Like a you dumbass. Of course it'd be like this. How could it be any other way? It's not a kind of vibe.
There's kind of like slightly emotional laughter, and then just the responding of, "You're right, you're right." Apologies for my dumbassery. Will you ever forgive me?
Yeah. Um, Frost outside, snow blanketing the world, but inside it is warm and cozy.
That gets met with the sensation of walking outside during a gentle rainstorm with an umbrella overhead, um, having to hold the umbrella up just a little bit higher so that it covers two people instead of just one, and the distant memory of warmth and laughter and old conversations.
It begins floating back to town again. Um, this time it's got a slightly changed angle. You can roll survival. Yeah, roll survival. To try and figure out where the fuck it's going.
13 plus 4?
Not bad. Okay. It's floating in the general direction that it caveat that the layout of Halloween Town changes literally on the whim of the town itself. But generally speaking, there's sort of a standard quote unquote layout that more often than not Kara tends to default to. Based on where you are in the woods and the direction the Phasmus is going, the sort of it's the general direction toward the Ghost Host Cafe, provided that everything is in the quote unquote standard layout.
um, there is kind of a questioning sensation there of just not necessarily where are we going, but why are we going?
And Phasmus just pointedly puts forward an image of a plate of food and a glass of water, and raises an eyebrow.
Then we're just out loud, just, all right.
You are getting forehead bonked again.
That does just get a little bit of a squeak. Phasmus just gets the mental image of, like, a baby goat headbutting someone.
It sends back the image of a tiny kitten squeaking very loudly until a much larger cat just puts a paw on top of it.
Memoir rolls his good eye and sticks his tongue out.
Man. Um, yeah. I think, given that they're both tunes, you can probably just scene transition to them arriving at the cafe. Hang on, I have to roll for Kara. Hold on. Kara, you in a good mood today? You're gonna be nice.
You're gonna. Please don't make
Uh,
this ghost drag a half dead bird all the way through town.
the dice roll can't affect me because I can't read. Kara will be nice.
What
Yeah.
did the
So
dice say?
Kara, don't worry about it. It's fine. You don't need to worry about that. I'm disregarding that. I recognize that the dice have made a decision because it's a stupid ass decision. I've elected to ignore it. Kara's being nice to this fucking bird. Okay,
Fair.
yeah. So Ghost's Cafe. Uh, Phasma still has not put Memoir down, by the way. Um,
Yeah, no,
it,
Memoir
it
has been scooped.
it is carrying your ass the entire fucking way. Um, yeah, it carries you through the door. There is the familiar sensation of becoming a ghost. And then it carries you into the back, and puts you down. Uh, there's like a little table in the downstairs area, just off to the side of the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, where this is the break table.
Ah,
So it puts
yes.
you there and then starts getting stuff.
Yeah. The sensation of becoming a ghost does take Memoir a little off guard because, oh, I was already dizzy and now I'm dizzier. Okay, hang on a sec. Um, but he doesn't protest this. He's just at this point he kind of feels he owes it to Phasmus to just go along with whatever it has in mind. He's not in the mind to protest.
Wow. After a moment, put down in front of you is a cup of hot chocolate. Or wait, is the February letters chocolate, or is that someone else?
Huh?
I think that's someone else. Yeah, it's a cup of hot chocolate and some very nice looking bear claws. And also a sandwich, and it gestures for you to eat the sandwich first. Memoir.
I mean, Memoir probably would have gone for the sandwich first anyway, because fun little fact about Memoir, outside of beverages, he's not as big on sweets. Like, he likes them, but
Hmm.
he's not got a major sweet tooth. Um, and also he really likes the Ghost House Cafe sandwiches.
You know what? Fair. This one is probably. How the fuck would this one be? It's probably just like a BLT.
Hell yeah. BLTs are awesome. It's one of my favorite kinds of sandwich. Dang it, now I want a BLT. Uh,
Suffer.
I should have eaten before FPS.
I'm getting dinner afterwards, so I'm gonna reset.
My parents are at grocery shopping right now. Um, but yeah, there is kind of a message across in Echo of just uh appreciation, thank you essentially, and uh the mental equivalent of happy claps because ooh yay, this is something I actually quite like.
It's got your number.
And he quietly does not bring up the fact that, oh, thank God, actual food. I have been living off of whatever I could find in the woods for months. Almost a year.
You get a disapproving look from the ghost. And then a second ghost pokes her head in, goes to say something, and Phasmus just kind of flaps a hand. Uh, there is a brief bit of conversation in Toon Sign before Bennett Vale, Phasma's mom, floats over to put a second sandwich on your plate and then floats away.
God. Oh God. I think it's Memoir's turn to not have words as well, because there's kind of an echo message to Phasmus of just like, can you let her know I said thank you?
There is a mental image of a thumbs up, and Phasma signs something to his mom.
Thank you, Miss Phasmus's mom. I don't know if that's a thing that other kids did, that other people did as children, but when I was a kid, you didn't refer to somebody as like Miss So and So. It was like if it was your friend's parent, it was just, thank you, Miss Phasmus's mom.
Yeah, no, I've heard that done.
And Memoir will, as commanded, eat sandwich.
Good. Phasmus does also get a sandwich, and sits down at the table as well. Um, More so to have something to do with its hands than any actual desire to eat. But it was conked out the entire fucking night, so it should in fact eat, and is choosing to do so.
Consume a nutrient, silly ghost.
Consuming nutrients is occurring. Phasmus, I think, has a chicken club sandwich.
Hell yeah. If you'd like, you can roll medicine on your bird.
Sure, I would love to roll a medicine. What is your medicine modifier? Oh, right, you don't have one. It's fucking just base wisdom. Uh, well, it rolled a 19, so that's a dirty 20.
Nice. Okay, so now that now that you're sitting down properly, you can kind of assess the situation a little bit.
Mm-hmm,
Um, for one thing, you can put two and two together from the way that it felt to die within the Shattered Constant. Uh, and whatever the hell has happened to Memoir's right eye, that there seems to have been a pretty serious line art fracture.
mm-hmm,
But that it has sealed over and didn't quite heal cleanly. Um, because the kind of lower outline on Memoir's right eye is gold, overlaps the rest of his outline, and does not move. Um,
mm-hmm,
and the sort of spokes of what used to be eyelashes go a little further down in a way that make it look kind of like cracks.
mm-hmm.
But it does seem to have healed. There is no sign of any major amount of ink bleed. Um, However, looking at this bird, there are definitely signs that this dumbass has not been taking care of himself at all. Um, like he was way too easy to lift in the woods for somebody who is taller than you and has two extra limbs.
Real grip.
Um, and um, there's kind of a stiffness and sketchiness to the outline when to his outlines when he moves that indicates like the way I put it in the final echo is that Toons and Real Kind aren't so different because Toons, are not immune to needing food and water and sleep to keep themselves maintained. It's just that it looks different for a Toon than it does for a Real Kind when those things are not maintained. And for a lot of Toons, how it looks is the outline starts to get, for lack of a better term, dried out or brittle, uh,
Mm-hmm,
and strains a lot more easily.
mm-hmm,
Um, it's not the same kind of thing that Lynn has going on, but there is a significant presence here of line art strain that indicates this has been going on for a bit. Um, and then there's also just, visibly tired. His wings are a fucking mess, etc., etc.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because getting a major redesign does not reset your self care responsibilities.
The peanut gallery Phasmus is hitting the peanut gallery Memoir over the head with an empty kitchen paper towel roll. The currently extant in the FPS Phasmus is not doing that because that would be rude. And also, Memoir is eating. Um, I think it does. Um, it does study the cracks under the eye for a second, and then very gently reaches up to brush a thumb over them, and then taps the marks under its own eye, and goes, through echo, "We match."
um, Memoir blinks and kind of raises a hand to that essentially scarred outline, and then looks at Phasmus and uh smiles, and there is a notion of, huh, yeah, I guess so, huh?
It's gonna wait. Hmm? You go first.
Another fun thing you might have noticed, Memoir didn't react to Phasmus reaching toward him on that side until it made contact, almost like he couldn't see
Mm,
it.
mm-hmm. It will send a questioning like vision, but as if you've got a hand over one eye, wrapped up in a querying emotion.
Memoir like pauses and actually does that thing where you put a hand over one eye to check the vision in either eye.
Mm,
Um and covers his good eye, tries to look out through the one that's a little fucked over. Um and shares the memory of what that looks like with Phasmus, which is everything is like super overexposed and bright and blurry.
mm-hmm. Okay.
Um it's like if you tried to take a photo directly into the sun.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, okay. There's a little grimace and the feeling of getting that checked out, or like the vibe of you gotta get that checked out.
Memoir hums in agreement, but also like jokingly just said like joking idea of just yes, I'll have to find the Halloween Town eye doctor.
It knows that's a joke. It knows that Member is joking, but there is the undercurrent of a thought of an address.
That just gets a laugh from Memoir and just oh well fucking course you know that off the top of your head.
The smuggest cat look. Yeah. It'll wait until they're all done eating, and then lead Memoir upstairs to its room.
Mm.
Um which is it's pretty standard layout except for the fact that there is ice fucking everywhere. Um like a lot of the furniture is carved ice because Phasmus is cold. It runs cold. Um yeah. So
This is an
everything is
ice
ice.
ghost, Your Honor.
Yeah, it's like staying in an ice hotel. It's all ice. Ice for days. Um but there is a corner that is very conspicuously not ice, that is in fact regular building, that has a little sign over it that says Memoirs Corner, um, which is literally just a pile of blankets and pillows and shit. So that's where it guides Memoir. Um, and it fidgets for a second trying to figure out how to ask, and then it asks one last question of, I think this is actual words through echo still, but actual words of
Mm-hmm.
how do we stop that happening in future?
And that gets again a little bit of a wince from Memoir because yeah, no, that wasn't good. He's doing his best now afterwards, but that wasn't good. And there's kind of a hesitance, and he scoots over in the blanket pile and pats the spot next to him.
It sinks down.
He like holds out a hand in kind of a offer. He's not gonna immediately take its hand if it doesn't want to, but
It will always take Memoir's hand.
he um and he kind of thinks about it a minute, and then shares a little bit, a teeny tiny fragment, probably from like really early on in the process, of what it was like at Thrall's Manor, of the dizziness and disorientation of being under the effects of the poison and the truth serum, and then rapid influxes of large amounts of difficult to comprehend information.
Mm,
Um, and that gets combined with the mental image of basically a bubble popping.
mm,
Um, and there's the notion of if that doesn't happen again, then this won't happen again.
mm.
Um,
Phasmus nods. Um, how would I put this? Phasmus nods. And then takes that mental image. Um, like Memoir is giving it to him, or giving it to it. Uh, or like pouring an overflowing cup into a second cup to balance out the water. If it happens again, it will help. Give it some of that shit so that you're not holding on to it all.
I think at that, Memoir just kind of smiles and bonks his head against Phasmus's shoulder. Just gratitude, appreciation, a little bit of a weary thought that maybe let's just try to make sure it doesn't happen again because I'm pretty sure it's more complicated than that.
Mm.
Because unfortunately, information is not a transferable resource. It creates copies of itself, it is not a finite thing.
It kind of waggles its head in that, like, that's a fair point gesture that everyone does.
Yeah. And it's just, think out loud he says, maybe let's try to avoid my getting fed an entire library again. I think that might be the best course of action.
It pushes forward the mental image of grabbing Marie's hand to absorb that smell. That smell? That's that spell that did absolutely nothing to it. Um, so that Memoir wouldn't take it. In a sort of, what, so long as I can do something about it, I will do something about it.
Memoir, God, there is an emotion TM at that of just gratitude and appreciation, and that makes him feel safe, but also, dear God, please don't. I know that you couldn't feel that. I know that it couldn't do anything to you, but that's scary. I don't want you to get hurt.
It waggles a hand like, not what it meant, not what it meant. And then retakes the image and shuffles it around a little bit. So it's the feeling, it's not so much the action itself, it's not the emphasis on what it did specifically, but the vibe of it. The
Mm-hmm.
I will step in. Um I will if I have to step between you and the threat, but I will be there to, help out and support.
And that that does put the initial panic response a little more at ease. Um, but there is an insistent, you know, response to that of that goes both ways. I want to be there for you too.
There is a distinct memory of a teenager going, duh.
That just gets an actual out loud cackle. And then just a, oh, I shouldn't laugh. Ah, God.
Pat, pat, pat the top of your head. Uh,
Who knew
it
having your head split open makes you
unsubtly,
so dizzy?
it unsubtly, starts tucking him in.
He is not going to fight that, but he is going to keep hold of Phasmus's hand because friend.
I mean, it's snuggling down as well. It is, like, for having been asleep all night, it's fucking exhausted.
Fair.
They are
He
taking a fucking nap.
an actual one this time, not a torment
An
Nexus field
actual
trip.
one. Not a Torment Nexus field trip, an actual fucking nap. Although it will briefly request the use of its hands just so it can flit down to its mom and get her to send a message to to send a message to Memoir's dad. And now that I've said that out loud, it feels like being in like second or third grade and asking your parent, you're getting your parent to ask your friend's parent if they can have a sleepover.
Honestly, yeah. There's honestly, I do think Memoir probably would have asked for that. Like Memoir Memoir either would have tried to contact Raph himself or would have like asked Phasmus, "Hey, can you help me get a message through to my dad so he knows I'm alive cuz he's going to come looking for me."
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it'll sort that for Memoir so that Memoir doesn't have to try and strain himself reaching that far with Echo.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then they take a fucking nap.
They take a fucking nap.
Love is stored in the thermal equilibrium.
Hell yeah.
Woot fucking woot.
Your
I think
Honor.
that's a good place to iris out.
Yeah. I think that's a good place for it. Your Honor, they are adorable.
They are. They're gonna be well rested bitches come the following evening.
Yeah. And then Memoir can get to the actual process of, okay, I am in clothes that I've been wearing for months and my wings are a mess. I need to fix this or I am going to crawl out of my skin, actually.
Real, real, real.
But thank you so much for playing with me. This was so cute.
This is very cute. I'm glad. I almost hit the leave call button instead of going to OBS to end my recording. Bro,
Goodbye, listeners!
goodbye.